this offseason in the NFL, much like the previous two off seasons, only maybe this season kind of on steroids, feels like it's going to be the quarterback movement offseason. And look, we had Phillip Rivers move from the Chargers to the Colts going back 2 years ago. We had Jameis Winston move from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Saints 2 years ago, and then as a backup, and then Drew Brees retired, and he became the starter. And we had Tom Brady 2 years ago, saved us during the pandemic. Nothing else to talk about. We had The Last Dance, a documentary about a 25-year-old basketball story. And Tom Brady switched teams from the Patriots to the Buccaneers also 2 years ago. So we have had off seasons. 2 years ago was probably the most quarterback movement of big-name quarterbacks we've ever had. But this has been built up to be the off-season of movement, much like we've seen in NBA off-season years in the past. Aaron Rodgers, obviously the biggest name. We don't know. Does he want to stay in Green Bay? He's thrown out the retirement thing. In order for him to move, he has to be traded. Would the Packers even be open to trading him? Would he force his way out? Would they trade him to anybody? Does that have to be an AFC? There's a lot of – that's just Aaron Rodgers. With Big Ben retiring, with Tom Brady retiring, now there's two more starting positions that are open, and there will be more quarterback movement. Plus, you have Russell Wilson, who wasn't happy last year. And, of course, the Seahawks have come out and said we want to hold on to Russell Wilson. Last year, it was Stafford. He changed teams. We had some other movement as well. This year, it could be Aaron Rodgers, could be Russell Wilson. And then you start to look at who else could be moved. Doesn't feel like Cousins, doesn't feel like Matt Ryan because of the money that they're owed, but it's not crazy to think that those guys could be on the move. It's not crazy to think that somebody like a Deshaun Watson could be moved, right? Deshaun's still sitting out there. But we've all talked about Deshaun. We've all talked about Russell Wilson. We've all talked about Aaron Rodgers. Have you heard anybody say, hey, maybe Kyler Murray could be moved? Or maybe Kyler Murray wants to force his way out? Has anybody heard that? But then it kind of all sort of makes sense, right? When you factor in the Cardinals finished poorly, and Kyler Murray, and we pointed out, and you're listening to a guy who was, we have the receipts. October of his final season at OU playing quarterback, I was the first one to walk people through why he should absolutely play football. Football was actually the better financial decision than baseball, even though people think that baseball is a better financial decision. I'm a Kyler Murray fan. And yet, could Kyler Murray either be forcing his way out or could they be moving him? Does he know? Is this a contract negotiation? It's the old clear out your office, or I'll give you the one that everybody relates to. If you're ever negotiating for a car, those things that used to be on car lots that you used to be able to negotiate and used to say, I'm not paying sticker price. Now they want sticker price plus because there's no inventory. But you used to be able to go, hey, I know that's not what you're actually paying. It's not even the invoice. There's the holdback plus the rebates and all the other stuff. You used to be able to negotiate your car. And now I'm not talking about online. I'm talking about actually going and having a car. And the most powerful move you can make in car negotiations is to walk out the door. Right? To walk out the door. Is that what Kyler Murray's doing? Cleaning out his office, walking out the door if you don't want to negotiate a long-term contract extension. But again, I want you to think about this. The last time we saw him play football, it was against the Rams in the same stadium that's going to host the Super Bowl, and he looked awful. He looked lost. He looked overwhelmed. Did he look that way because he thought the team's not good enough, the coaching isn't right? Or are they down on him because he's just too little and not good enough? And in that moment where he's pressured, he did in fact freeze. Whatever happened in the wild card round, whether he got exposed or Kingsbury got exposed or they both got exposed or the franchise got exposed, whatever it was, despite the fact that their win totals have gone up, there's clearly some unrest there. And the Sunday surprise has to be, I never thought about this, but maybe they moved Kyler Murray. Right? My brain started working overtime as I'm driving home yesterday talking about the Kyler Murray thing. Like, he's kind of a Texas legend. Texans need a quarterback. What about the Texans? Carolina needs a quarterback. What about Carolina? Miami might need a quarterback. They have a new coach. What about them? It's just, it starts, your whole brain or could he do baseball? Leverage it for baseball? Probably not. But at least it's a small percentage chance possibility. The Kyler Murray story, kind of like the Tom Brady retirement that got completely overshadowed because of the Brian Flores lawsuit. The Kyler Murray story is soon going to get caught up in the whitewash of the Super Bowl. But, man, it's sitting out there. And I got to tell you, that was not the name or not even one of the top 10 names that I thought would potentially be moved in the offseason. And now you got attitude, right? Like last year, I'm not sure we saw the Jared Goff thing coming from Matt Stafford. But when you thought about it for a second, Sean McVay, who never criticizes the individual players. When they lose, it's always about the coaches screwed up and the players are great. When they win, it's always about the players are great and the coach. The only guy that you could ever say he criticized was Jared Goff, right? And it did feel like there was something there, but the trade happened really, really quickly. Look at Kyler Murray and start to look at how poorly he played down the stretch, how lost he looked, whether it was disinterested or disheartened or another word that starts with the letters D-I-S, whatever it was, someone right with that team, someone right with Kyler at the end of the year, and then he he unfollows the Cardinals on IG and Twitter, which is a very NBA way of saying I'm not happy, but it definitely resonates, and it definitely makes you think he could be our surprise quarterback on the move. At Gottlieb Show is the Twitter handle. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter. You can hit us up the Doug Gottlieb Show page on Facebook or on Instagram as well. To answer your question, I don't know what Kyler's doing. I don't know if he's negotiating. I don't know if he wants to be moved. I don't know if he doesn't like management. He doesn't like the offensive line, doesn't like the coaching staff. He doesn't like the scheme. I don't know. I just know that these stories all have a similar start. When a player is unhappy, and usually part of that start is he unfollowed either a coach, a teammate, or a team, and then shortly thereafter he was moved.